Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. Oops, no, this is Tarotland Soap Opera. I have a different channel. On Tarotland Soap Opera, we always do two rows. The top row I'm going to refer to as high vibe Sagittarius energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius energy. Because we all have free will and we have to make these decisions in our life. And in our more high vibe Sagittarius energy, we might want to move forward a little differently than we are right now. Some people have overcome the struggle and they are moving forward in life a little differently. The bottom row can kind of represent our fears, our insecurities, our past pain, heartbreak, self-limiting beliefs, our more immature, self-indulgent nature, whatever the case might be. And some people could, be happy in their comfort zone, and aren't inspired to move forward in life any differently. And we're all at different stages in life, we can all kind of feel like the way we've been living our life has gotten a little old or something like that. I think high vibe people offer people in their life truth and love for them to move forward with them, are loving and encouraging to those people, but not everybody in our life is going to want to move forward a little differently or be accepting of us moving forward a little differently. And because of that reason, some people might keep living life the way they've been doing it. Like if other people don't move forward differently, they're not going to move forward differently. If they have some habits or vices or activities that they do in their life, if other people aren't willing to kind of do things differently, they won't either, High vibe energy is being willing to be more independent, to believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, accept that everybody can have their own dreams, but listening to your intuition that I'm going to take action in my truth. I'm going to offer people truth and love to, let them live their own life. I'm going to live my life. If we still want to hang out or we want to still be friends or whatever, we will. And if we don't, I'm not willing to keep repeating an old pattern of a way of living life that at one time I could have viewed as just and fair, but, we don't stay the same. We change over time. We grow, we heal, we mature ourselves. And sometimes when we do that, other people don't want to do things differently, and sometimes we were the one left behind, and we weren't ready to change, Let's go. In the top row, we have the action card, and the reason for the reading is the Nine of Pentacles, the cornucopia card. Some people are just more independent. They are inspired to be more independent, less letting things within themselves and the world, their ego and their fear or other people manipulate them. And high vibe Nine of Pentacles can be that, you've learned to love and appreciate yourself, know your worth and value, have hope and faith and belief in yourself and your dreams. And maybe some other people don't. And some other people have moved on ahead of us, and now we're moving forward, for the people that are doing that. So inspired to be more independent of your own ego nature, immature nature, self-indulgent nature, want things to move forward. And if we're in jobs, friendships, or relationships, and it doesn't seem like things are going to move forward at all, and other people we could feel maybe are more codependent on something, the high vibe people are inspired to listen to love and intuition to guide them. And high vibe Sagittarius and the action card is about higher learning and education. The Nine of Pentacles or the cornucopia of Virgo energy can be about dealing with the truth, accepting the truth, getting out of your ego, not wanting to be more manipulated by shadowy energy, and seeing the truth. And then the nines can talk about being close to closing out a cycle, a phase of life that we're at. Just like when we were 15, 18, 21, and 25. Eventually, when we went into each of those phases of life, it was like, yeehaw, this is great. And it was great for a while, but we didn't expect to live our life that way forever. And then we kind of face our fears, get inspired to love and believe in ourselves, work through our inner conflict probably about it, and to believe in ourselves and to believe in our dreams and to invest in our truth and let other people invest in their truth. And the people who want to come with. And the people who don't, we wish them peace and love. But we're kind of ready to become independent of an old cycle and probably close that out to move forward in life differently. And while some people could be doing that or want to do that, in the bottom row, the reason for the reading is the third chakra, which I view as Leo energy, which is like Sagittarius. Also, it's fire sign energy. But Leo is fixed sign energy. Sagittarius and Virgo are energies I believe we more tap into when we're trying to transition out of something. And some people are still happy living their life the way they're living it. Just like we were happy when we were living our life in some way or another, right? And it could be underneath that is the healer of the ages. We'll all keep repeating a certain pattern until we've kind of learned the lesson we were meant to learn from that phase of life. And then we've kind of healed a layer of ourself in our worldly nature of self, and we're ready to move forward in life a little differently. And some other people, again, they're enjoying their life the way they live it. And they may never want to live their life any differently. The truth kind of sets us free. And Virgo energy talks about kind of doing some of this inner work within ourselves to work through our pride, is what Leo energy can talk about. Our pride, our ego, our fears, our insecurities, our self-limiting beliefs, to heal from whatever manipulates us, that stops us from being more independent, knowing our worth and value, dealing with the truth of something that could kind of manipulate us, which can just be our more worldly egoic nature. Things we want to go indulge in to make our life about, where we don't have to grow and heal and mature ourselves or face our fears. Let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Two of Swords, the Indecision card in reverse, which is like the Two of Swords in reverse, which is Libra energy. And then we have the fourth chakra, which is the heart. So there, the heart is kind of looking at the Two of Swords in reverse. And in the upright, the Two of Swords can be that some people feel stuck. But some people don't feel stuck. Other people could have been in that situation. They felt stuck. They offered love to themselves to kind of get more clear. In the Two of Swords, it can talk about our dualistic nature. What is my truth? What isn't my truth? Some other people could have felt stuck, and they offered truth and love to feeling stuck. And in reverse, it can be extremes that some people felt really stuck, continuing to maybe live their life the way they were living it. And they offered love to it to overcome it. And then they offered love. And I kind of view the door to value and the door to romance, probably because of the red, because normally, maybe in a Rider Waite deck, Libra has a lot of red in it in the Justice card. I think, anyway, it makes me think of Libra energy. And this is Libra energy. So maybe depending on how we harness our Libra energy right now in our own Sagittarius energy, which Libra, represented by the scales of justice, can just be at any given moment in time in our life, what do we think is just and fair? And, are we happy living our life the way we're living it? If we're happy living our life the way we're living it, people are going to keep living their life the way they live it. They don't feel stuck. They don't feel conflicted. They could be happy and, just like we all have been at different phases in our life. Other people in that exact same situation could have ended up feeling very stuck. Because the Leo card in high vibe can kind of mean that people are ready to give birth to something new, to move forward differently. And if we're in a more mismatched workplace, friendship, or relationship, at one time, we didn't feel stuck living our life whatever way that was either. Or in a job or a friendship. We were loving it. We were happy. But, again, kind of like everything is kind of like a phase of life. And some people are inspired, again, in high vibe Sagittarius, to kind of learn the lessons they were meant to learn at those different stages of life. And we come in contact with all these kind of different people and life experiences to kind of help illuminate us to getting more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. Some of the things and activities and people I could have hung out with at different stages of my life, 15, 18, 21, 25, 30, 35, was it just and fair? Yeah, that was me. That was my life. That's what I thought was just and fair. Could other people have thought didn't live their life like that? Didn't think that was just and fair? We're living their life differently? Yeah, we're all kind of living our life. We got a lot of people in the world, and they're all kind of motivated and inspired to do different things that they're excited about, that they want to go invest their time, energy, and effort into. And when we're on our journey, that's kind of Sagittarius also is about going on this journey, and our journey and the lessons we have to learn are different than other people's. The things that manipulate us are different than what manipulates other people. So we're kind of all on this different path, trying to get more clear, each of us in our own way, of what our truth is. So some people can go through a stage of life, but they are kind of maybe just more inspired within themselves to work through things that manipulate them. I don't like my own fear and my own insecurity and my mind and my emotions or other people or the world or my immature, self-indulgent or prideful or defensive or whatever nature to manipulate me. And so over time, some other people, out of love for themselves and their desire to kind of want to keep growing and maturing themselves kind of to their full potential, the Two of Swords can be where you're also staying in denial of the truth. And we could know some people that we've met in our life that very much want to stay in denial of the truth. They might not have inspiration to grow and mature themselves. They're happy indulging their more immature nature. They could love being more immature. Some people don't want to see the truth that maybe they're more prideful. They're happy being more prideful, maybe being more about themselves. They're okay with it, but other people might not like hanging around them. Shadowy energy at large can be where, people aren't inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness in a high vibe way, because love is supposed to be just and fair. And some people, they want to be in relationships with people, but they don't want to be just and fair. They might not want to see the truth, that they don't really kind of like to be just and fair. They could kind of think in their kind of prideful nature, which is shadowy energy, that a shadowy type relationship can be this philosophy of life that people think is just and fair, that they don't want to see the truth of. If, for one, it could be, if I feel like I have things of the world that would make people want to be in a relationship with me, I think they would probably want to be in a relationship with people who also think that way and value whatever it is they bring to the table. Do they have status, image, money, attractive, or they just have sex with people, their physique, their charm, their social clout? If that's how people view the world, they could feel that whatever it is that they have, they're looking to want to get in relationship with other people who view life that way. And they could either want to be the person who's indulged, or they would be willing to indulge other people if those people had more of the things of the world that they value. So it's kind of operating more from their ego, driven more by their ego and these things of the world. Haven't quite been enlightened to the truth that, you know, the philosophy that it's supposed to be about love. And some people don't believe in love. They could think that's an illusion. Everybody, and it can be hard for people who are kind of more motivated and inspired by love to kind of wrap their brain around it in their Sagittarius energy, because that's not how you think. And also, Libra is air sign energy. You don't have to be dealing with a Libra, but anybody in the world, regardless of what zodiac sun sign they are, they could live a little more from their mind than their heart, a little bit from their more worldly egoic nature, and that is kind of how they view life. Everybody, it's all a thing of trying to manipulate people, present yourself in a certain way. Someone is going to try to manipulate and control someone. And, if I seem to have more, I should be the one who's the more indulged person. And if I don't, and I want to be in a relationship with someone and they seem to have more, well, then that's just unfair. They have more of these things I want. I should indulge them in a relationship. And that's the truth about, I think, how some people think. And then those would be people that the man holding heart is like the King of Cups, and that can be male or female. It can just be people who operate, again, the masculine cards can represent that people could be operating more from their ego. Because when we have our more worldly egoic nature, which is kind of represented by masculine energy, or when we go out in the world and we go present ourselves in the world, taking our worldly vessel out in the world is considered masculine energy. But how do we really think and feel? And that can be represented by the feminine figures. And some people, male or female, this is their truth. And that's how they view life. That's what they think is just and fair. And it's to operate and be more emotionally invested in their more worldly, egoic view of life. And it's about presenting yourself as maybe being a just and fair, stable, grounded, loving, successful, or victorious, or charming, or whatever type of person, so that other people will get in a relationship with you. And that's how they view life. But they never really become more independent of their more egoic view of life. And then it's all about being caught up in the illusion of the world and ego. Letting your more ego nature run your life. High vibe energy is freeing yourself from your more worldly egoic nature to go live your more authentic life. Quit letting the world and your ego and your fear treat other people the way you like to be treated. Have a little more hope and faith and belief in love. But the all tied up card is like the Eight of Swords, which is Gemini energy. And Gemini energy talks about our dualistic nature of free will. And we have the free will to align with our more egoic free will nature, or to heal our ego nature and align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. But that requires, in Sagittarius energy of the Patience or Temperance card, for us to balance out our emotions. In a lot of decks, tarot decks, in the Temperance card, it shows a person pouring these two cups together. One is fire, Sagittarius, and Leo are fire sign energy. The third one is Aries energy, which is about the self. Do we temper our fiery nature with our more emotionally loving nature to quit being more about ourself? Operating from our more egoic nature can be our more self-protective, defensive nature, and I view Libra as also being represented by the King of Swords, which can be our self-protective, defensive nature. I can't let my more authentic, hopeful, believing nature go out there to play in the world. They could get hurt. So then we let our ego run our life, and our more authentic nature looks out from the eyeballs, but our ego is running our life. Because we don't let, and We don't let in high vibe Leo, which is our like more authentic nature, out to play in the world. And it's a process of becoming. We do have to go on this journey of learning these lessons to kind of feel more comfortable within ourselves, to kind of know our worth and value, to feel more stable and grounded within ourselves. Learn all these lessons, go on this journey to just get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. We are so kind of manipulated. It starts out in our own family. They have their belief systems, they have their way of interacting, whether we think that's just and fair or not, and their belief systems and how they interact with people and how they treat other people and how they tell us we should act in the world and things we shouldn't do and things we shouldn't do. And then we have our neighborhood and our communities and our schools and our state and our country, and all those things in our more worldly nature really influence us in our truth. And for some people it more manipulates them than some other people. And some people aren't really willing to do love to get the justice they deserve. And you'd maybe kind of high vibe energy. I view high vibe Leo as loving yourself, giving yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you, wrapping your brain around the fact that we've all maybe loved some people in our life who they wanted to stay in denial of the truth. And we're like, do you not kind of see you're kind of bossy or controlling or immature or manipulative or egotistical or full of yourself? And we've all had people in our life like that. Well, when are we going to offer love to it, to deal with the truth of it? And again, some people have a really hard time. We're fallible human beings who have made mistakes. We've been more immature. We've been more lazy and prideful and defensive and all these different things in our life. And, we're just dealing with other fallible human beings. But some people have a much harder time wanting to even acknowledge the truth within themselves of how they've been shadowy. They in turn could have a hard time because, again, they could love some people in their life and they could have a very hard time kind of balancing out their emotions in their Sagittarius energy about kind of reconciling the fact that we're dealing with other people in the world, kind of in their Libra and their Sagittarius and their Leo and their emotional nature. I view the King of Cups as Cancer energy. We can love people, and some of those people, in turn, maybe we just felt like they weren't that authentic. That can be a shadowy King of Cups, where we kind of felt like they could have acted like love, quacked like love, could have been seeming to have a very good image or status or reputation in the world in their Leo and Libra energy and their emotional nature. They could have even been viewed as like a leader in the community, maybe with the Healer of the Ages. Well, some of the people who could have been more close relationships with them could have felt that it didn't seem that authentic. That maybe it did seem to be more about the ego and the image. And, high vibe Leo is where you're really kind of more inspired by truth and love. And you really are more authentically loving and nurturing and warm and giving of yourself. And some people present themselves as being that type of person. And in a lot of ways they can be, but it doesn't really feel authentic in a way, like it's really the truth of who they are. And it could kind of feel like it's more a way of being, kind of living more from their mind and their heart, that this is a decision they've made of how they're going to operate in the world and present themselves and interact with people, but like they're operating from their self-protective defensive nature, or maybe in a lot of ways they're loving and encouraging and supportive, but yet they're immature in their shadowy Sagittarius energy. It is more about the ego and the image, and it's not really about love, even though there can be a lot of things we love about it. So some people can really have a hard time just even accepting the truth that they have this more dualistic nature, other people have this dualistic nature, and some people, it's all about creating the illusion of how wonderful everybody is, and nobody is willing to illuminate the truth. Well, I like them too. They could be my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my adult child, my, sibling, whatever. But there's things I also don't like. That's kind of like balance. Libra can talk about balance. Sagittarius in the Temperance card can talk about balance. But nobody can be allowed to ever say anything negative. I have known some people like that. It's all shadowy energy. We all stay up in our head and just balance out our emotions to create this illusion about how wonderful we all are or our life is, and nobody illuminates the truth that, people are fallible human beings, and I find them a little manipulative, or a little bossy, or a little controlling, or a little full of themselves, or kind of present themselves one way but act differently behind closed doors or something, right? And some people, again, don't want to see the truth about themselves, don't want to see the truth of others, and some people are very full of themselves, and they don't want to see the truth of that, and they, of course, could view themselves as these loving, just, fair people that people should get in a relationship with them, and that's where some high vibe people can get in relationships with people who are like that, and they think, oh my gosh, this person isn't like as immature as some other people I've known. This person seems more stable and grounded. They seem more balanced. They seem more, just mature than other people I've maybe dealt with. But sometimes those people kind of like to be God in your life. Can they be loving and encouraging and supportive of you because they kind of want you to maybe temper some of your issues and heal and grow and mature yourself, because that's good for their ego and their image, and it looks like they're this loving, nurturing, supportive person in your life. They're like God in your life. The only problem is it ends up being like communist China, and they don't want you to become more independent and love and believe in yourself and, make your life anything more than being more codependent on them. They want to be like God in your life, and they don't like you believing in a higher power, and they don't like you maybe not making your life more about living from your mind than your heart, and making your life and about ego and image and money and materialism and making that your God, or whatever it is they indulge in place of love to feel better. We either see the truth that love is what it's supposed to be about, and treating other people the way we like to be treated, where you authentically are loving and encouraging of them to grow to their full potential and to be more independent of their shadow nature and their worldly nature. Quit letting the world and other people in the world manipulate them. But for the people who they are very manipulated by the world, could want to stay in denial that they're more manipulated by the world and their ego, and more about conforming to the world and not living their more authentic truth, and a shadowy Libra type energy, which anyone can harness, can be this whole thing of people pleasing and trying to have this image in the world so that all these different people will view them a certain way and want to be in friendship or relationship with them, even if they're up in a mental prison and trying to maintain this balance to people please everyone instead of just living their more authentic life. High vibe energy would be wrapping your brain around this game of life. We can all have done this, because we all want these things of the world that we want, things that we think are just and fair. We all want to be in friendship and relationship with people. We all want people to like us and people to view us as like victorious and successful. And, for the first 30, 50 years of our life, we're all pretty caught up in these things of the world. And it really manipulates us. And at some point in time, everybody's got different tolerance levels, but at different points in time, people can realize how much it manipulates them. And they really want to kind of wrap their brain around it. And I don't I want these things of the world, but am I willing to sacrifice my truth and live in a mental prison and make my life more about trying to, high vibe energy would be, what? I'm just going to live my authentic truth, which in high vibe, I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I'm not trying to be scandalous. I'm not trying to manipulate anyone. I just want to go out in the world and treat other people the way I like to be treated and do what inspires me in truth and love and justice and fairness, and less about, oh, I got to do this and I got to wear that and I got to go to this function and not that function and talk to these people and not those people. I just want to go out in the world to meet other people who want to also treat me the way I treat them. No social strata and hierarchical and hang out with these people and not those people. It's like there's all sorts of great people in the world. A lot of people I could learn a lot of things from all different walks of life and stages of life and ages of life and religions and ethnicities and all those kind of things. I'm looking for the people in the world who want to work together in a just and fair way and be loving and encouraging of each other and be authentic. Not wearing a false mask and playing the game. I want to be in more authentic, real relationships, and that means you might have to sacrifice trying to people please other people. And for some people, that really has them up in their head. If they were to think of doing that, it's like, what would people think? It's like, well, what are you going to do? I mean, but if you've known some people, sometimes it's like, oh, well, you shouldn't go there. It's like, why not? We've been there before. It's like, well, we'd only go there, maybe if those people were there. It's like, well, what made those people like God? Oh, if they're there, then we can go there. But they went there first, and it didn't seem like, how awful to stop in maybe at a bar and have a burger and a beer or a pizza and a beer. But it's like, well, if you were to go up there and whatever, and some of those other people weren't there, then maybe you'd seem like those people that were there. It's like, well, for one thing, we all maybe know those people. So, I don't know. It's just all this hierarchical bullshit kind of stuff. And it's like, how about I am who I am? And it's kind of like the people who would judge me are people who are judging me and criticizing me anyway, because that's kind of the people they are. And they're just looking for somebody to criticize. I don't really plan to be doing anything awful and atrocious. I just plan to live my authentic life and not, shadowy energy can be abiding by all these more invisible, unspoken, some of them spoken, but rules. You're supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to do life like this. This is how we do it. Talk to these people, not those people. And a lot of those people do a lot of things behind the scenes that they don't want other people to know about, but then in their ego, they're so much better than other people. It's like, you're just a fucking fallible human being like everybody else, and I don't think we're all that different. I mean, there are the extremes where, yeah, am I I have my normal way of living life? Am I going to go to these extremes and go to certain places or hang out with certain people where it's completely out of my own comfort zone? No. We do generally kind of tend to be in groups and kind of stay in our groups. It's just some people are willing to have a bigger group than other people. Some people's can be very small. And I would only talk to these people at that event, and I would only go to that event if those people were there. And it's like, why would I make my group so small? Why can't I know more people and get along with more people? I'm sure you probably all can relate. Anyway, some people went through a phase of life. They listened to their high vibe fire sign energy and their heart, which is adhering to a higher truth and justice. That life is a journey. Life is about learning these lessons. I don't want things and people in my life, or my keep staying stuck, repeating an old pattern over and over. Part of getting justice in the world is for me to learn these lessons, face my fears, grow up and mature myself, love myself, get out of more codependent energy. Learn these lessons to feel more comfortable in my own skin, know my worth and value. And in high vibe, to treat other people the way you like to be treated and being loving and encouraging to other people so that we have more people who are loving and believing in themselves and not being one of the people who doesn't want to give to other people because, well, why would I want to encourage those people to love and believe in themselves? Because some people, again, they're very much more consumed with themselves and don't want anyone else to shine or other people to be inspired by those people because, shadowy energy at the big picture represented by the devil is some people want it to be all just more about them. And again, shadowy energy kind of represented by the devil. They could be very jealous, very envious, don't like it when anyone else gets their flowers or is doing well in the world because they think that takes away from them. And it's like, they're just not people who can sometimes be very loving and encouraging to other people in the world. They're not helping make the world a better place. And some people, it's just that they have a more worldly view of life. And they could have a lot of fear of just stepping outside their comfort zone. The sun, Leo, represented by the sun energy, which is like that life force energy. We all kind of like to stay in our comfort zone. And if we move forward in life, we can have a lot of fear about that. And it's kind of unknown territory. And we would have to learn how to temper our own fears and our insecurities and listen to our intuition in the seventh chakra and kind of invest in loving and believing in ourselves. In high vibe, the King of Pentacles, I view as Capricorn energy. Shadowy Capricorn is the devil. I'd have to free myself from things that manipulate me. And in high vibe, the Pentacles about like truth and love and growing up and maturing yourself in the King of Pentacles. And some people are codependent, haven't learned to love and believe in themselves, have fear of listening to their own intuition, so they could defer to other people who are stuck. But they could view those people as they seem to got it going on, and they seem to, in their eyes, look victorious or successful or have justice in the world, so they could end up living their life like other people because they have so much fear of listening to their own intuition and even investing in their own truth. Well, that's okay. They can do that. It's just that other people might not want to, they have things that manipulate them, and other people aren't manipulated by those things to that degree. And though they could offer them truth and love, and they could be very patient, they could understand that they have these things that manipulate them. We can't make other people balance out their emotions. We can't make other people get inspired to work through their fears and insecurities. Kind of looking at the all tied up as the Eight of Swords. And then the King of Pentacles is holding the one pentacle, which is like the truth in high vibe. The difference is the Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords is this Aquarius energy of, what is my idea of the dream life? And I thought it was going to be more about me, or I thought it was going to be more about them, or I thought it was going to be more about the world. And high vibe Aquarius is looking at life from a higher perspective. That there's a higher truth and justice to aspire to. That it is about learning to free ourselves from all these things that manipulate us. Because that's the devil trying to oppress us, confine us, restrict us, imprison us, get us more caught up in ourself and our self-indulgence and our ego and our fear and our lust and our greed, thinking we're living the dream life. As long as those things manipulate you to such a degree that you're kind of tipped out of balance, high vibe energy is balanced. Do I want some of these things in the world? Yeah. But if I make those things in the world too important to me, I sacrifice living my authentic truth, being more independent, and in high vibe, being in more authentic, loving relationships because I'm free of my more egoic, self-protective, defensive, and these things of the world that I make more important. I want a balance. I want some of these things of the world, but I equally want things that are aligned with my truth, being treated as an individual, standing up for myself and my truth. That would be high vibe King of Swords, high vibe King of Pentacles, high vibe King of Cups, and with the fire sign energy would be the King of Wands. And that I want to learn all these lessons in all these different areas of life and not see how if I go on a journey, which we go on these journeys like in our heart, in our mind, in our worldly nature, in our fire nature, and we kind of can get ourselves stuck. Some people got themselves really stuck, but it's part of the learning process. Are we willing to offer ourselves love and compassion and forgiveness? Like, oh shit, I went too far. You know, we go on these journeys. Oh my gosh, I let my heart run my life. And then the other three aspects of our life kind of go in the toilet. And then we can get in our self-protected defensive nature, and the other three aspects of our life go in the toilet. You know, we have all four suits of the deck: the heart, the mind, the worldly nature, the creative, passionate nature. High vibe energy with all four kings eventually is being in that third fire sign energy. Here we have Leo and we have Sagittarius, which is being an Aries energy and being an emperor in our own life, learning these lessons, being a good leader in our own life, realizing that all four aspects of myself, my heart, my mind, my 3D nature, and my emotional, creative, inspired nature are all equally important. And when I thought one was way more important, or two or three of them, and some of them were not important, it kind of drove my life off into the ditch. Am I willing to see the truth, get out of my ego, and admit I'm a fallible human being who's going on a journey and has a lot of lessons to learn? If I am, I offer myself love and compassion for being a fallible human being, to get myself more balanced, to love myself, offer myself, maybe in the healer of ages, compassion and forgiveness, work through my fears and insecurities, and again, balance out my emotions, listen to my intuition. I can keep wanting to stay in denial, be unwilling to admit I was a fallible human being, or I could listen to my intuition. I could grow up and mature myself and not let my more immature egoic nature or things that I make so important in my life have such a stranglehold on me in the devil energy. Learn the lesson I was meant to learn and free myself from it so that I can keep going on this adventure. Yep, I made mistakes. Yep, I was a fallible human being. Yep, I really drove my life in the ditch over there. You know, when you work through it and you're willing to see the truth of it, you're no longer, there can be a little shame and all that going on initially. Like, oh shit, I really drove my life off into the ditch. Just like, yep, should have listened to my intuition. Yep, I shouldn't have done that. Yep. But it's part of going on this adventure in life. We all have different lessons to learn in life. And sometimes if we didn't learn them and kind of learn them as we went, which maybe some people didn't, you know, those are lessons that they're going to come up sooner or later. And some people could keep thinking, nope, I can just bypass that. I think maybe because I do have a certain status or image, or because of how I present myself, I think I don't really. It's like trying to cheat the justice system. The devil tries to cheat the justice system. Us, in our more immature, egoic nature, sometimes don't want to take accountability for our actions. And we think, no, 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 I can just present this myself this certain way, and I can create an illusion about it, maybe try to confuse other people about the truth. And I can go out and present myself a certain way of being, and it'll all be okay. It'll all get swept under the rug. The only thing is, the truth has a way of rising to the surface, and we can try to move forward, but if we didn't really learn some of those lessons back there, how to temper our ego, temper our fear, quit being more about ourselves, being more boss, hiding our more shadowy nature. Some people try to do that, and then they're up in their head the whole time they're in relationships with other people, and it's like, and temper themselves like, oh God, I really like to be bossy and controlling, but if I'm bossy and controlling, this won't work out. So I've really got to try to temper myself, but I really want to do it. Or I really have all these fears and insecurities, but if I were maybe to tell people I have these fears and insecurities, some of those people wouldn't want to be in a relationship. Well, they could do this work within themselves. Virgo energy talks about doing the internal work within yourself. It's not for public display. You do it within yourself. But some people could also think, I don't have to do that, male or female. And some people think, I know. I'm going to go get in a relationship. That's the answer. That'll be the answer to my problems. And some people, because that'll make me feel better. I'll have someone who's loving and encouraging in my life. But they never dealt with the truth of some of their issues. And some people get in relationships just like some people could abuse drugs or alcohol to make themselves feel better. Some people's vice is relationships. And they keep thinking if they find the right person, that'll be the answer to all their problems. All their fears, all their insecurities, all their codependency, all their immaturity will magically go away. And that's not how it works. You have to see the truth of where you need to heal and grow and mature yourself. You have to invest in yourself. Shadowy energy is like looking outside of yourself, unless it's God and high vibe energy that you're looking to. Otherwise, they're making something else God in their life. Like, if I have enough money or status or image, or I do this cosmetic procedure, then I'll feel better. If I get in this relationship or have this job, that'll make it all better. They're making something other than truth and love like God in their life. And then they can be very codependent people in a relationship. If they do find someone who is like, oh my God, you are the answer to all my problems. And then shadowy Leo and shadowy energy can be where they're kind of controlling and manipulative and smothering of the people they're in a relationship with. Because you are my lifeline. And then they want you to be as codependent on them as they're codependent on you. And whatever it is that they make their life about to make themselves feel stable and grounded and better about themselves. They want you to be manipulated and make those things most important in your life too. And that's when some people in their life are like, I don't make those things that you make so important in my life. Those things don't have that kind of stranglehold on me. And again, we can offer truth and love to people and encouragement, but they have to be inspired within themselves to want to work through some of those issues that manipulate them. And some of them are like, nope, I just want to keep balancing out my emotions and hide from the truth. And that's when some other people say, I don't want to keep balancing out my emotions being in this job, friendship, or relationship if you're not willing to deal with the truth. And that's when those people decide to balance out their emotions about the fact that some people in their life they could have love for, regardless of who those people are in their life. I want to invest in my truth, and my truth is to be in relationships with people who are more free of some of these things that manipulate them, because, any example, if we looked at different stages of our life and people we probably did more hang out with and people we didn't, probably because we felt like, you know, they had to learn some lessons that we felt we had learned, and they were acting and behaving in ways that we didn't really think were just and fair. They thought it was just and fair, and they have the free will to do that. And again, we could have lived our life like that at one point in time too, at different ages and stages of life. But that's not what I want to keep investing in. I want to move forward in life a little differently. Who wants to come with? But people have to be willing to invest in putting some of these old ways behind them. Let that go. Work through it. See the truth of it, how those things are not good building blocks to keep taking with you. There's a point in time where we need to heal and see the truth of what needs to be let go of. And some people may never do it. So some people have already went through this. Some people are in the midst of doing it. And some people just want to move forward and bring justice to a situation. Like it moves to the next stage of life. And high vibe Leo can be, it like becomes a more deep, meaningful relationship. And some people are like, oh, I'm not doing that. I want to do this. Let's just stay here. And that's when other people are like, we've been there. We've been doing that. I thought we were going to bring justice to the situation. I thought, whether a workplace, a friendship, a relationship, and if not, some other people had to do this work within themselves, and they quit harnessing this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way, because that was something that kind of kept them in these more mismatched relationships. And some of the people they were in relationship with, they harnessed this energy differently. And people kind of had to see the truth of how, in their own more worldly nature, this could have been something that kind of kept them in those jobs or relationships. And they needed to offer love to it and see the truth of it so they could harness it in a more high vibrational way if they wanted things to change in their life. The thinking woman, so that's the Queen of Swords, Aquarius energy. We all could have been more caught up in the world, more manipulated by our lust, our greed, our want for these things of the world, right? Friendship, relationship, have a job. And we maybe lack some hope and faith and belief in ourselves. Aquarius, represented by the star card, can talk about the dreams that we have for ourselves. And we all could have, shadowy energy can be more where I need to work more with these things of the world. And I could lack some hope and faith and belief in myself that I can manifest my dream into reality. So I feel like I need to work with these people or those people instead of looking at life from a higher perspective. Also, the Queen of Swords can be that we felt betrayed. Some other things that job, friendships, or relationships that we'd been in hadn't worked out. And we could have gotten up in our head. Aquarius, between these two cards, I kind of mentioned the Seven of Swords. That's Aquarius energy. We could have been up in our head. We hadn't learned to listen to our intuition. We could have felt stuck. But again, we weren't listening more to our intuition because we could have lacked some hope and faith and belief in ourselves and could have been hurt, is what Queen of Swords can talk about. Well, some people realized that they kind of thought they knew best, maybe didn't listen to their intuition. Pride comes before the fall. They, did it working with these things of the world, the way the world maybe told them, you'll be happy, do this, make your life about this. And they did. And then they could have felt stuck. Again, I might have all these things of the world to a degree of what I wanted, but I didn't really listen to my intuition, which is what the seventh chakra can talk about. And though there's things in my worldly nature I love about this, and people I could love, my intuition is calling me to move forward, that this isn't my truth and this isn't my dream. And it is more being more caught up in the worldly dream and sacrificing, really living my more authentic truth. And again, I think the high vibe people would offer people truth and love in their life because they love them, to move forward with them. And if those people, that's not their truth, and they're like, nope, I turn my back on the truth. I'm more motivated and inspired to keep living my life this way. It's like, okay, so they get out of feeling betrayed. Not like that couldn't take a while, and they move forward, inspired to not keep repeating an old pattern, maybe not be manipulated in their more loving nature or in their more worldly nature. And they move forward, and they have to do the same thing with these cards, which is the first chakra and the garden and the gate. So it can be difficult because at a core foundational level in the first chakra, there could be people in our life that we always thought were going to move forward with us. They were people that we thought we weren't planning to become independent of. Again, we could have friends or family members that have been long-term, like friends, and we thought we were always going to move forward together. At that kind of core foundational level, we thought they were a part of our foundation, maybe all our life, and we really hadn't planned to go out there without them, is what the garden and the gate can talk about, and we can have some fear of going out there. The garden and the gate can talk about how emotionally, we can have certain people in our life and ways of looking at life and viewing life that kind of keeps us in our comfort zone. And again, there's a lot of things that we like about it, and there can seem to be a lot of abundance and peace or something to it. But it's having that belief that I think I can take what I manifested in here out there. And we could like to want to move forward a little differently. And that's when some other people in our life is like, I'm not going out there. That's different. I like to stay here where I know how everything operates. That's my comfort zone. And other people would kind of like to stay there too, but their intuition and kind of in their soul is kind of like, at one time this could have been my truth, but I can't keep like repeating this pattern over and over and over. Just like all those other stages of my life, I kind of learned the lesson I was meant to learn. And that is my intuition, my heart telling me it's time to move forward in life a little differently. Face my fears. Otherwise, I could stay here more out of ego and fear. And I don't like my ego and my fear to manipulate me. And again, offer people love and encouragement to move forward with you. But if they feel more stable, more balanced, happy, staying in their comfort zone, we can kind of relate to it because we did too. But it's like I can't stay in there anymore. It keeps me stunted. It keeps me again, it's like kind of like the Barbie movie, like when people want you to go back in the box. And it's like, but I don't think that way anymore. And that's what some people, we can even move forward in life, and there's other people in the world that we could meet, and people that we know who, are like, you should come here and do this. This will be just and fair, and I'll get in a relationship with you. And it's like, well, that might not be this, so it's like different than that. But if those people still are kind of more wanting to be in the relationship and tempting us to want to be in a relationship with them, more for these things of the world, and that's kind of more what drives them. It's like, I want to be more in relationship with people who are more inspired to be more independent and not get in a relationship to be in a relationship, or be in a friendship to be in a friendship. Do you, not for these more worldly reasons, maybe of want or codependency or lust or greed, are you inspired to go on an adventure, let truth and love guide you? Can we do some of those things of the world? And, yeah. People keep their jobs, people have their family and their friendship groups. It's just not more letting those things kind of manipulate you, maintaining your independence in those situations. And if we already know some people that, again, that we could see they kind of have a lot of things that kind of more manipulate them, people in their life, or their ego, or being more about themselves, or not being more authentic and independent of their defensive nature, I'm going to someone else can be in a relationship with you, or someone else can take that job if you're still kind of, or you're someone who's more bossy or prideful or whatever. I want to be with people who've encouraging and supportive of people being more independent. I'm not going to try to control you or manipulate you, or be in my defensive nature or my prideful nature or my manipulative nature, trying to get you up in your head and try to keep you confused and keep you stuck and trap you. I want you to live your more authentic life, and I want to live my more authentic life. And we love and encourage each other to do that, to step out of our comfort zone, to keep kind of growing to our full potential. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius that they might not see coming? The Four of Swords. Why? Because of the High Priestess. So the High Priestess is Cancer and Pisces energy. So connecting in more with which can talk about your intuitive, creative nature, that's like your more emotional nature, in a balanced way in your Libra energy, to offer love to yourself in the situation, but instead of letting your mind or your fear or your immature nature or your more worldly nature drive you, it's more letting truth and love and listening to your intuition to guide you. And I think that will help you move forward swiftly in your life and bring true abundance into your life. It's kind of like planting good seeds. If we plant seeds inspired by truth and love, being just and fair, maintaining balance within ourselves, not indulging poor behavior in ourselves and others, some more of the more shadowy people are going to move out of our life, because we're maintaining balance within ourselves and we're not indulging poor behavior in ourselves or others. We can go out. This talks about enjoying life, enjoying your life, enjoying people. But again, it's in balance and moderation, and not looking to something outside of me to be the answer. And maybe in high vibe Aries that we kind of referred to, being a good leader in your life, not looking for someone else to be your mother or your father in your life. You're not looking for a parent, and you don't want to parent someone else. But there can be other people in the world who like to play that role in people's lives or want you to play that role in their life because they like these more mismatched relationships. Like, no, I want some people who know their own worth and value and know how to love and believe in themselves and maintain balance within themselves, not to get in a relationship to feel more balance within themselves, not to get in a relationship more for the ego or the image or to indulge himself in it. I want to be in friendship and relationships with people who want just and fair and balanced and authentic and loving relationships. And some people have no interest in being in those kind of relationships. So it's like, well, I'm going to go find the people who are. So by listening to your intuition and being inspired to not be more manipulated in your fear or your lust or your greed, I think you will get justice. And I think you will feel very stable and abundant and grounded within yourself. And probably the people that are moving forward with you and the people that you meet are going to be people who are more on that same page as you. And there's some people who moved ahead of you that some of those people are like, oh, if you, the Sagittarius of like the Eight of Wands can be communicating with people. There's some people you could communicate where it's like, oh my gosh, I learned a lesson. I did not realize how I was not seeing the truth about some things. And yeah, I was really caught up in something or indulging in something or whatever. And if you communicate to other people your truth and those people listen to their intuition, and if, they think that you are telling the truth, and being authentic, and that you've healed or grown or matured yourself, those people would maybe be willing to heal a relationship with you. And same way with you as you move forward, if other people in your life, hey, I was caught up in this, whatever it was, and those people communicate with you and you feel like they're going to listen to your intuition, just like other people are going to listen to their intuition about you, we're willing to heal relationships with people. Does that mean we'd want to, if it was a romantic relationship, get back in a romantic relationship with some people? To each their own, and everybody's got to listen to their intuition about it. And if we know that some people are kind of more immature, because that can be shadowy Sagittarius, the next, or a former person that just wants to come back and indulge in a relationship with you because whatever they had been in didn't work out. Or you just see that some of the people, because there's always going to be more shadowy or immature people who kind of want to be the next person for you to indulge in a relationship. And it's like, be willing to get to know people, but you're going to listen to your intuition. And if you feel like they're more shadowy or immature or whatever, they kind of just stay in the friend zone and you kind of stay independent of them. What's coming up for some people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius energy that they might not see coming up? The Knight of Cups and the Page of Pentacles. And the reason is because the Knight of Wands, which is Sagittarius energy. Well, the shadowy people kind of harness this energy in a more shadowy way. They could kind of have these illusions about relationships, and they kind of indulge emotionally their more immature worldly nature, and that's kind of what drives and motivates them. And because those things kind of manipulate them, they could think it's always going to manipulate other people. And they have some people in their life who harness a more high vibrational Sagittarius energy, who have been willing to be loving and encouraging to them. But eventually, if they're trying to encourage them to move forward and they're kind of like, no, let's do this. You come back here and let's keep doing this. Eventually, the more high vibrational people in their life are like, we're going to let them do that and we're going to move on and invest in ourselves and believing in ourselves. In high vibe, the Page of Pentacles is like willing to be a student of life, willing to get out of your ego, willing to deal with the truth. And the pentacle means the truth in high vibe. They're kind of more about these things. That's not where we're at. We're kind of inspired to move forward. And they could always, when someone becomes like the Page of Pentacles, they've detached from a Ten of Pentacles. And some of these other people, again, there's something, a foundation, a friend group, things they like to indulge in the world, original family group or something that's like their Ten of Pentacles, that they're not willing to become independent of, and may never, or at least not now. And so they could always be surprised that other people are willing to become more independent of things that they're not willing to become independent of. And it could just be becoming more independent of their defensive nature, codependent nature, prideful nature, being more manipulative to be in a relationship, because they would get in a relationship. People wanted to be in a relationship with them, like romantic. But not everybody is just willing to get in a romantic relationship just to be in a relationship. And, and some of the people in their life are going to move on. And they could be, some people could be surprised that, in a way, some of these people could look like they have more status, more image, more power, more influence, more social clout, more money, more attractive, whatever, than some other people. Because this one kind of represents the Nine of Pentacles. And a lot of these ones here I was kind of referring to as kings. So they could seem like they have more. But really, the other people, if they're inspired in high vibe Virgo, inspired to be a student of life, less manipulated by their ego nature, more inspired by love, they could be surprised that other people would want to align with and be in friendship and relationship with some people who seem to have less than them. But I've got these things. I look like I have justice in the world. I seem to have a status or an image, or I have a certain physique, or I have more social clout, or more attractive or something. Some of them are just full of themselves. But they could always not understand it. Why do those people? I don't get it. I was like, well, because those people are loving and encouraging and authentic. And that's high vibe energy. I don't need all these things of the world. I don't need the most money. I don't need the most status, image, power. I don't need all the attention. I don't need, those things. I want balance. When is enough enough? And with the high vibe people, with the Four Swords, they'd have balance. I have enough of these things of the world, but I equally have maybe an abundance, more so in truth and creativity and being able to be more independent and be more authentically myself, and not more about conforming or living my life like other people live their life. I get to live my more authentic life. And so there'll always be other people and people in their life who want to keep living their life this way, and other people come into their life that want to live their life that way. And they'll find more of the people who are more on the same page as them. For some of them, they won't really like that, because some people, again, are kind of shadowy or bossy or manipulative or prideful, and they don't want to be in a relationship with other people like that. They wanted someone who's more loving and just and fair and balanced to indulge them in a relationship. They indulge, that can be shadowy Pisces, they indulge their more worldly nature, and then because they might have these things of the world that other people can be attracted to, that they hope those people will stay in a relationship with them, even though those people maybe have learned more lessons than them and are more tempered or balanced or just or fair or loving. But the other people, the more high vibe people aren't willing to keep staying in a relationship with them and indulging them. We can offer truth and love to people, but if you if you keep not wanting to temper yourself, eventually those people will move on. It's like, but I was offering you these things of the world. It's like, what about truth and love? What about being creative and inspired and just and fair and loving? Well, no, I'm gonna create the illusion it's love. I'm gonna give you more of these things of the world. I'll have sex with you. I'll indulge you. Well, some people will be happy to be in a relationship with them for those reasons, and other people won't. And for some of them, they could be very happy if they find someone they can indulge or someone who will indulge them, because that could be their idea of the dream life. So, there you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.